There was a time when she barely noticed your worth. You were always there, always available, always hoping she would see you the way you saw her. But she didn't. She treated you like an option, someone she could take or leave without a second thought. She never truly valued your presence because she believed you would always be around. And maybe, for a while, she was right. You gave her time, energy, and attention, thinking that one day she might appreciate it. But instead she grew indifferent. The more you chased, the more distant she became. But something changed. You stopped waiting. You stopped seeking her approval. You realized that your value was never meant to be proven to someone who refused to see it. So you stepped back, not to manipulate, not to make her jealous, but because you finally understood the truth. The only thing you can control is yourself, your emotions, your growth, your mindset. Everything else, it's beyond your power, and that is where real strength begins. At first, she didn't notice. She thought you were still the same, still waiting, still hoping. But then she felt the shift, the absence of your attention, the silence where your messages used to be. The space you used to fill with your presence now stood empty, and suddenly, she wasn't so sure of herself anymore. She started wondering why you weren't reaching out, why you didn't react the way you used to. And that's when it hit her. You had changed. You were no longer the man she could string along. You were no longer seeking her validation. You had become something more. This isn't about revenge. It's not about making her feel what you once felt. It's about mastering yourself. True strength isn't found in proving a point or getting even. It's found in emotional control, in knowing what truly matters. And what matters is not someone who didn't see your worth, but the fact that you finally do. Stoicism teaches one simple truth. Control what you can, let go of what you cannot. You cannot force someone to respect you, to value you, or to stay. But you can choose how you respond, and that response is what changes everything. Now the roles have reversed, not because you planned it that way, but because you evolved. She used to be the one in control, the one who decided when to give attention and when to take it away. But now, she's the one left wondering. Because the moment you stopped trying to prove yourself, the moment you focused on your own path, you became something rare, something she can no longer ignore. And that is the moment she regrets losing you. At first, she convinced herself that nothing had changed. Maybe you were just busy. Maybe you'd reach out eventually. But as days turned into weeks, a strange feeling crept in. One she wasn't used to. Something was missing. She didn't have the certainty she once had, the comfort of knowing you were always there. And that's when it started. She found herself checking your social media, scrolling through your posts, searching for any sign that you were still the same. But instead of finding someone waiting in the shadows, she saw something unexpected. You were thriving. Your life hadn't fallen apart in her absence. It had improved. New places, new people, new experiences. There was a different energy about you, a confidence she had never seen before. The version of you she once knew, the one who would drop everything at the smallest sign of attention, was gone. And for the first time, she felt something unfamiliar. Regret. She never thought she could lose you. She assumed you would always be an option, always within reach, always willing to wait. But now, she was the one waiting. She thinks back to the moments when she had full access to you. The times you would message first, ask about her day, try to make plans. She barely acknowledged it then, treating your presence as something ordinary. But now she replays those moments in her mind, realizing how much she took for granted. She starts to wonder, what if she had appreciated you more? What if she had chosen differently? What if she had seen your value before it was too late? These thoughts keep her awake at night, creating a new kind of frustration, one she doesn't know how to fix. This is the psychological shift that changes everything. People don't value what is freely given. They only start to care when they feel something slipping away, when they fear it's gone forever. And that's exactly what's happening. She no longer sees you as the man who was always available, but as someone she lost. And loss, especially when it's unexpected, has a way of making people see things differently. She tries to convince herself that she made the right choice, that she doesn't care, that it doesn't matter. But deep down, she knows the truth. You didn't become valuable overnight. You were valuable all along. The only difference now is that she finally sees it. But this time, it's not in her hands. She can check your social media 100 times, reminisce about what she once had, or even try to reach out. But she knows one thing for sure. You are no longer the man who waits. And that realization, it stings. Because now, she is the one feeling the absence she once made you feel. And then, just as she's drowning in regret, she reaches out. A simple message. Maybe a, "Hey, how have you been?" Or something even less direct, like reacting to one of your posts. It seems harmless, even casual, but you know better. This isn't about missing you. This isn't about realizing your worth. It's about control. She wants to know if she still has access, if she still holds any power over you. And this is where most men fail. The weak man sees that message and convinces himself that it means something deeper. He thinks, maybe she's changed. Maybe she finally understands what she lost. His emotions take over, clouding his judgment. Without hesitation, he responds, eager to believe that this time, things will be different. But they never are. She doesn't miss him. She misses the validation he once provided, the comfort of knowing someone was always there, ready to give her attention, ready to chase. And the moment he gives in, she feels it. That same old dynamic returns, and she remembers exactly why she walked away in the first place. At first, she might entertain it, sending a few messages, pretending to care. But deep down, she's not drawn to the weak man who still clings to hope. She's repelled by him. She wanted the man who had moved on, the one who had grown beyond her reach. But now, seeing him so eager, so willing to slip back into her world, the illusion shatters. He is not the man she regretted losing. He is still the same man she once overlooked. And just like that, her regret fades. This is why emotional discipline is everything. A man ruled by his emotions is a man easily controlled. A man who gives in to temporary feelings loses sight of the bigger picture. Stoicism teaches that self-mastery is the key, choosing discipline over desire, logic over impulse. A message from the past means nothing unless you give it meaning. And if she truly valued you, she would have never treated you as an option in the first place. The real test is not in ignoring her message. It's in proving to yourself that you are no longer the man who waits, hopes, and settles for breadcrumbs of attention. You don't entertain half-hearted efforts from someone who once discarded you. You don't fall for the same cycle of manipulation. You don't mistake nostalgia for love. The second she realizes she no longer has control over your emotions, the game ends. And this time, it's you who walks away, without hesitation, without regret, without looking back. And this is where the real power shift happens. Not in ignoring her message for a few days, not in playing games to make her jealous, but in truly becoming a man she can never reach again. The moment she realizes she no longer has access to you, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, is the moment her regret turns into obsession. Because now, you are a mystery. Women don't long for the men they fully understand. They crave the ones they can't predict, the ones who remain just out of reach. And now, That's you. You're no longer the man who waits for her messages, who reacts to her every move, who hopes she'll finally see your worth. You've evolved beyond all of that. Your focus has shifted entirely. While she lingers in the past, trying to figure out what went wrong, you are too busy leveling up, too busy mastering yourself, too busy moving forward to ever look back. She tries again, liking an old photo, making an excuse to cross paths, maybe even sending another message. But unlike before, there is no reaction from you. No eagerness, no frustration, no curiosity. Nothing. And that silence is louder than any response you could ever give. It unsettles her because she expected a version of you that no longer exists. She expected the man who would have given anything for a second chance. Instead, she is met with a man who is completely indifferent to her presence. And that is what drives her crazy. She replays every memory, searching for answers. How did she lose the power she once had over you? How did you become someone she can't reach? The more distant you are, the more she obsesses. The more unavailable you become, the more she longs for even a fraction of your attention. This is the paradox. The moment you no longer need her validation, she craves yours. But by now you understand the game. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to break your silence just to show you've moved on. Because real power isn't about getting her back. It's about never needing her again. It's about living a life so full, so complete, that her absence is nothing more than a forgotten detail in your story. This is the foundation of a Stoic mindset. A man who masters himself is a man who cannot be controlled. He does not seek external validation. He does not attach his worth to anyone's approval. He moves with purpose, guided by his own principles, unshaken by the emotions of others. And that is what truly separates you from the weak man who would have fallen for her games. Now she sees you as the one that got away, the one she never fully understood, the one she can't manipulate, predict, or possess. And it's in that realization that she feels the weight of her mistake. But by the time she understands what she lost, it no longer matters, because you are already too far ahead, too focused on your own journey, too strong to ever look back. And then one day she realizes you're gone. Not in the way she expected, not in the way most men leave, with a final argument, a desperate plea, or some dramatic exit. No, your departure is different. There's no explanation, no closure, no lingering emotions for her to hold on to. Just silence. And that silence is deafening. She expected something from you. Maybe an angry message, maybe a moment of weakness where you give in and let her back in. Maybe one last attempt to get her to understand what she lost. But instead, there is nothing. No response to her messages, no reaction to her subtle attempts to grab your attention, no sign that she ever meant enough to leave a mark on your world. And that is what unsettles her the most. Women don't fear rejection the way men do. Rejection stings, but it is familiar. They know how to handle it. What they truly fear is irrelevance. The idea that someone who once adored them, someone they assumed would always be there, has now erased them from his life completely. That is what keeps them awake at night. Because in her mind, she was supposed to always have a place in yours. She thought you would be like the others, circling back, waiting for another chance, proving your worth. But you're not like the others. She checks her phone more often than she'd like to admit, waiting for a message that never comes. She scrolls through your social media, hoping to find something, anything, that gives her a reason to reach out again. But you have vanished from her world without a trace. No breadcrumbs, no signals, no lingering signs of attachment. And that, more than anything, makes her realize just how deeply she miscalculated. At first she tells herself she doesn't care. She pretends to be unaffected. But deep down, she knows the truth. She expected you to return. She thought she had more time. She assumed you would always be an option, just like before. But you have mastered something most men never do, the power of walking away forever. This is the essence of true strength. Not reacting, not seeking validation, not giving someone the satisfaction of knowing they still hold a place in your heart. It is the ability to detach completely, to move forward without hesitation, without regret, without needing to explain yourself. That is what separates the weak from the strong. The man who stays emotionally entangled will always remain stuck in the past. The man who detaches completely is the one who truly wins. And this isn't about playing games. It's not about making her chase or proving a point. It's about self-respect. It's about realizing that someone who once treated you as an option does not deserve a second chance to do it again. She had her opportunity, and she wasted it. Now she lives with that decision. This is Stoicism in practice, the ability to control what you can, yourself, and let go of what you cannot. You don't seek closure because you don't need it. You don't crave validation because you have already found it within yourself. You move forward with clarity, strength, and purpose, leaving the past exactly where it belongs. And by the time she finally understands what she lost, it no longer matters, because you have already moved so far ahead that the thought of going back is not even a consideration. You don't look back. You don't hesitate. You don't break the silence. You are truly free. And then, something shifts. She no longer wonders if you'll come back. She knows you won't. She no longer hopes for a message, because deep down, she understands it will never come. What once felt like a temporary silence has become something permanent, something unbreakable. But what truly unsettles her isn't just your absence. It's your indifference. She thought she had power over you. She believed on some level that no matter how far you went, she could still pull you back if she wanted to. But now, she sees the truth. You don't hate her. You don't resent her. You don't even think about her. And that, more than anything, is what haunts her the most. Nothing drives a person crazier than realizing they have lost all influence over someone who once cared. Indifference is the final nail in the coffin, because it means you have reached a level of control that few ever do. You are no longer moved by her presence or absence. You no longer react to her attempts, no longer feel anything when you hear her name. She is just another face in the crowd, someone who existed in your past, but holds no weight in your present or future. This is the unshakable mindset that separates the strong from the weak. While others cling to resentment, anger, or the hope of reconciliation, you have mastered something far more powerful: emotional detachment. This isn't about pretending not to care. It's about genuinely reaching a place where you no longer do. And that is what makes you untouchable. She notices it too. Maybe she sees you in passing, expecting some reaction, some flicker of recognition, some sign that she still affects you. But there is nothing. You are composed, unaffected, entirely at peace. That moment confirms what she feared all along. She has lost all significance in your world. This is the essence of Stoicism. Do not give power to external forces. Do not allow someone else's actions to dictate your emotions. True strength is not found in proving a point or seeking revenge. It is found in complete emotional control. And once you have that, no one can shake you, no one can manipulate you, and no one can ever make you feel like an option again. By the time she realizes all of this, it's too late. You have evolved past the need for closure, past the need for validation, past the need for anything from her at all. She wanted to be unforgettable in your life, but now she is just another lesson, one you have long since outgrown. And while she may spend nights wondering how she lost a man who once cared so deeply, you sleep soundly, knowing that you have finally won, not by chasing, not by proving yourself, but by walking away with absolute, unshakable indifference. And then, without even trying, you achieve what most men waste years chasing, the ultimate form of revenge. But it isn't fueled by anger, resentment, or the need to prove anything. It happens naturally as a result of your growth, your discipline, and your unwavering commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. While others stay stuck in the cycle of seeking closure or proving a point, you move differently. You don't look back. You don't explain. You don't engage. You simply rise. Most men, when faced with loss, become consumed by the desire to make their absence felt. They chase success for the wrong reasons, hoping she will notice, hoping she will regret. But that mindset still gives her power. It still keeps her at the center of their thoughts. You operate on a different level. Your growth is not about her. It is about you. Your progress is not a reaction. It is a choice. And that makes all the difference. With time, she begins to see it. Through whispers, through glimpses, through the undeniable proof that you are no longer the man she once knew. You have outgrown the version of yourself that once craved her validation. You have stepped into something greater, something she will never have access to again. That realization hits her harder than anything you could have ever said. She watches from a distance as you carve a path that leaves no room for the past. Every move you make, every achievement, every step forward is a silent confirmation that you were never meant to stay where she left you. And the irony? By the time she recognizes your true value, by the time she finally understands what she lost, you no longer care. Not because you are bitter, not because you want her to suffer, but because you have built a life so full, so complete, that her presence or absence means nothing at all. This is the final lesson in strength, in power, in true self-mastery. The greatest victory is not found in proving anything to her or anyone else. It is found in the quiet confidence of knowing you no longer need to. That is what makes you irreplaceable, not because you are waiting for her to notice, but because you have reached a place where it wouldn't matter if she did. And so, while she wrestles with regret, while she wonders what could have been, you move forward without hesitation. No second chances, no lingering thoughts, just an unshakable commitment to the life you were always meant to live. And in the end, that is the only closure you will ever need. And just like that, the power has shifted completely. Once upon a time, she was at the center of your thoughts, the reason behind your emotions, the one you placed above yourself. But now, she is nothing more than a distant memory, a lesson that shaped you, but one that no longer holds any weight in your life. You don't carry resentment. You don't seek answers. You simply don't care. She, on the other hand, is left with the one thing she never expected: emptiness. She assumed you would always be there, waiting, hoping, willing to take whatever little attention she decided to offer. But when she looks for you now, she finds nothing. No reaction, no longing, no trace of the man who once chased her. That absence is louder than words, sharper than any rejection. She is now the one who feels discarded, forgotten, irrelevant. But here's the truth. This was never about her. It was never about making her regret, never about proving a point. It was about you reclaiming yourself, about mastering the one thing that separates the strong from the weak. Detachment. The moment you stopped seeking validation, stopped letting emotions dictate your actions, you became untouchable. That is real power. A man who controls himself, who remains unaffected by the whims of others, controls everything. And so, while she lingers in regret, replaying what went wrong, hoping for a sign that you still care, you have already moved forward. Not with bitterness, not with ego, but with absolute clarity. You have outgrown the past, stepped into a version of yourself that no longer looks back. You are unshaken, unstoppable, untouchable. This is not just a power shift. It is the final, irreversible turning point. The moment you truly understand that the only person who ever needed to value you was you.